Welcome back to the Cube Boys. My name is Jeremy,
My name's Akeem.
and we're reviewing George M. Johnson's book, All Boys Are Blue, Chapter 16, which is titled
Don't know why I didn't call.
Don't Know How to Call. This is a chapter about grief. You wanna begin? Start us off. This is also the final chapter of the book.
This is the final chapter.
Thank you for sticking with us for 15 plus chapters.
Yeah.
We're now in the room.
It seems like it had to be 4 months. 16 weeks. Coming out with them every week.
Has it been 4 months? Anyway.
16 divided by 4.
Look forward to our
next book. We'll talk about that
summary.
soon. Yes. The summary, the next book, the final. This is the final chapter. Anyway. Don't know why I didn't call. I think the first thing I wrote down, I just put down like family traditions and like goodbye. George M. Johnson made a point to talk about like what his father would always do. Like, always say bye in a certain manner. But on this particular day,
before he was going off to his last semester of senior year in college.
Yeah, their father was just like came out
the room, because usually the dad would be like, "You gone from the room,"
right? And you know what, I thought about that as well. Like, I love like the looking at the detail of like, it's funny. It's almost like all family members do this, and it's kind of like, I guess, and that was the question, like, what are some traditions? But it's just funny because it's like sometimes family members do that. But it's like they have it in it. They know how to do that inflection in their voice, whereas like they really do sound like they shocked. And it's like you know what's about to happen. Yeah. But it's just another person, African American, and talk about like their father saying this and just like, you leaving, you gone. Whether we come home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, we're visiting, and then it's time to depart, and they're like, you gone, you leaving. Mm-hmm. Like, what? Why you sound like you want me to say?
Know how to say. That's how we say bye. That's
right.
Are you about to go?
So I got my jacket. I guess I didn't really have a question. I guess that was like
it happens.
Do y'all have any different type of traditions, or that y'all do? But or can you relate?
We have like some quirky things that we do, like my family. But again, my family's very small. But like, I remember like my granddad and his sister, anytime they need to like get up or something, you know how black folk like to grunt and, "Oh, thank you, Lord." Bless you. Now they don't do that. They do, "Ooh." And now I find myself doing the same thing. Like, if I gotta get up or something, or like I hit my hand, "Ooh." I don't know. This little stuff like that. And I'm like, helps me honor their memory and who they were, even though it wasn't really the thing I tried to do.
I think someone pointed this out to me, but like, I never really realized I do it, and I thought everybody did it. But like, people be like, as you're talking or as I'm talking, and I'm like, like,
I do that all the time. Is that a black thing?
It might just be a black thing, but I just know. But like, I know, I feel like I do it.
Think about it.
I do it a lot. But sometimes it don't always be in judgment. It's just me thinking about stuff. Sometimes it might be in judgment, but sometimes it's just me thinking, and I'm like,
I don't even speak on that.
I'm
so you be like,
like, I'm just thinking about stuff through my mind, and I'm just sort of surprised.
I know what that
I'm like, depending on what it is, but like, I'm trying to think of any other traditions that we may have that are like.
Oh, well, maybe. There was a point in time when my family had like a little tradition. Anytime my aunt and them would come over, like her kids, when they would leave, it was always a song. I forget how it would go. Or like we are a very jingly family. They love a little jingle. So it's just like a little song. Like, if we trying to get hyped for something, it's a birthday or we about to go out to eat something, it's we ready. And that's what we do. You gotta raise your eyebrows up. Gotta put your head up. It's how we do it. I don't know why. It's
That's how we roll.
It's little stuff like that.
I was like, get y'all.
No, it's just it's not like a every time, but it's like, all right, while we waiting for them to hurry up, we ready. Come on.
This is our way to tell you, come on. No, the only jingle I had in my family ever was no. 1937 Center Street, because we were children, and at the time, children were being kidnapped and taken in their address once they were found by the police. So that's how my mom made sure I never forgot 1937 Center Street.
My mom didn't do that. I think she just like feared me into remembering her number and like address.
Now my problem, I do not know my mom's number to this day.
I know my mom's number by heart. I think I know her old number.
If I get booked,
my mom didn't play.
If I get booked right now, they take away all my electronics. I don't know. I wouldn't know a thing.
Whose number do you know by heart besides me? Your sisters? Your grandma? She got one line? Or she got a cell phone?
I'm calling the Jesus who's on the main line.
You need to know.
I'm going to tell the Lord what I want.
I know at least two.
But on top of that, I'm like, I share my location with everybody. So like, if y'all don't check my location, I ain't contact y'all in 2 days. Y'all better check this location.
Well, who knows?
Find me.
We're gonna leave that alone.
Find me.
Because sometimes
I'm gonna work on it. I'm big grown. I'm gonna work on it because I don't know nobody's number. That's a problem. Anyway, yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Next.
My first thing was just kind of talking about gayness and brotherhood and friendship. And this is something we have touched on previously, but something that I feel that is important that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, or at least I don't hear it talked about enough. But maybe I'm not in the right spaces. Inform me in the comments. But I don't hear a lot of gay people, specifically gay men, talking about brotherhood and the need for that. Because a lot of us still going through our second adolescent phase. Like we talked about in chapter 15, a lot of our interactions with one another is like either we doing something or I ain't got no use for you, or like maybe we can try to be friends, but we can still do something. Yeah. Instead of us actually being like, let's actually form a brotherhood. Let's actually, because that is needed, whether it's a sisterhood, a brotherhood, some type of neighborhood community type thing. Not necessarily a binary, but like, hey, a support system. In the sense of like, you can talk to me about what's going on in your life, mentally, emotionally, with your family, with your friends, with your job, and it not be this whole, surface level type thing. I just think that's important. The reason I'm bringing it up because George, as we've read in the book, is a part of a fraternity, which he then is able to lean on a lot for that type of support community. But people that aren't a part of a fraternity, are they having those conversations? I feel like I have that. Yeah. But I just know I don't hear a lot about it from other people. And not saying it's not the thing, because people have those in the houses that they're in. Gay houses where it's like there's an appointed mother, father, family role.
The same difference, everybody's not all in the house.
Everyone's not all in the house, and I usually only hear about, oh, this is my gay mother, this is my gay son, my gay father. I don't hear about, oh, this is my brother, and we all being the kids of this mother-father duo, we do this together. But I just wanted to, see how you felt about that.
No, I think that's definitely important. Probably a lot of mine came from school, so clearly, I have a lot of friends. And I was definitely able to rely on them a lot. Like, I have a friend to this day. He's not gay, but like when I told him I was gay, he was just like, okay,
like in the book.
And he is a part of a fraternity. When I tell you, I'm like, I'm waiting for you to get married. I'm waiting for you to have these kids. I'm ready to shower you and your children and your family with gifts and love and like, oh my God, I love like even to this day, and it's crazy because like sometimes like now he's another person that my mom like when his birthday comes around, my mom's asking about him, or he's asking about my mom. Like we're checking in with each other. He's asking, same thing like, how's your family doing? How's your stuff like that. So that is one of my friends that I definitely, I mean, oh my God, like I love, want nothing but the best for. Um, that's one. But yeah, I do think there is importance for that. And like you pointed out, a lot of times because we are going through the second adolescence, all we know is sex. So if it's like if there's no sex involved, like you said, there's no use for these people. And then unfortunately, I feel like being mean has become an aesthetic. So it's just like I'm gonna be the mean girl and I'm gonna do this and like I don't want you around me.
It's not
Even
necessarily anything new.
right, it's not anything new, but it's like the gays have just truly taken this on as their own. And it's just like even if you're not doing any of those things, you can just common courtesy. You know what I mean? Like just helping somebody who's just talking.
That would be against what you just said they're trying to do. They're not trying to be courteous.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like
we
don't have that because of I think a part of that is because like I'm a mean girl. I'm trying to either have sex with you or if I cannot use you for something, if there's no use for you in my life at all, if you ain't got no business that you help me out with, you can't give me no discount. You could work at McDonald's if I frequent there or wherever, right or whatever. It's like if I frequent there and you give me a discount, or you could work at a major. That's
somebody made a great point, and I'm sorry, between there's dating and then there's tricking. Some people just be tricking,
right? So I mean, but that's the thing. But like, people don't. What do they? But a lot of people, it's crazy because I love listening to podcasts. You guys should check out our podcast called Sweet Heat. But that's the thing. It's just like, sadly enough, I don't think people know the difference because some people know. Some people
the lines are so blurred for some people,
right? Right, but some people are like, some people have this mindset. I'm going to use what I got to get what I want. But it's also like, you're not serving me. What are you here for? Mm-hmm. So, and again, back to survival because, not saying everybody is living the pose type of lifestyle. Like they got kicked out and they out there on the piers, okay? But at the same time, it's just like some people are like, I've had to make it on my own. And since I've been out, so it's just like, if you ain't helping me, what are you here for? So I do think it'll make a difference. Now, again, it's nothing wrong with if your friend has a connection and they can help you get to somewhere. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. By all means, help your friend. Like genuinely, and it's not a you gonna pay me back, anything like that. Like I had that conversation with someone. I'm like, oh my God, I owe you. And they're like, you don't owe me anything. Like just pay it forward. Once you get to where you need to go, then that's just the cycle that we need to be. And that warmed my heart because I am used to somebody like that always wants something reciprocated, and that just seems like the world that we're in. So it's just like I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and it's like no,
a game of give and take.
It's like I don't need nothing from you, but for you to flourish, and you ain't got to tell me about it. Where's that at? But people can't do that. So no, I definitely do think brotherhood is like important. I think we could probably change the game a whole lot more, and not saying like we have to again quote unquote use each other to a certain point, but it's just like I can help you elevate you, and I'm not needing anything from you type of situation, or I can lean on you. Like you said, even a conversation. Like I've had people pour into me, and I'm just like, I needed that. Like I just needed that. I needed those words in that order said to me, like, and it helped push me forward for that day or that moment or through something.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know but I agree. Like, and I mean, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be formal. It's just be like the new gay code, like let's be kind, let's be gorgeous, and let's be grateful to one another, and just be as nice as possible. And again, not to your detriment. But like, if I can help you with anything, it would be something simple as, you know, you telling me you want to go to the ABC store. Well, save your time because that one's closed for construction. You might want to go down that one. Thanks, boo. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be this grand gesture thing. It could be some of the smallest things that could change someone's life. You know, because again, you might take 15 minutes going down there, and it's like, dang, now I gotta go down here. You know, and it's like by the time I get out, it's closed or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, as it could be as small as that.
It's a community
versus yes, and it could be like something way larger than what it can be. And hopefully, it doesn't sound contradicting. But like I said, I don't want it to be on a mindset of like I need a use from you, but I can still it could be a support system.
We all go through ups and downs. Yeah. So in our valley moments, hopefully there's people that are in a place where they aren't in a valley they can assist, because we won't be in the valley moments forever. And when we get out, there'll be someone that may need our help to say, oh, whether it is like, oh, going to the store, I can take you. You know, I know you're going through it. Or if you need to talk, I'm always here. If you need a laugh, you want to go out, grab something to eat, I got you.
Or a walk.
Yeah.
I love a walk.
Me too.
I love a walk.
Me too.
I think the next section that it kind of went along the lines of what we were talking about before. Well, not really, but we were talking about. Well, I was more so going step by step. So you know me, I'd be like, it was like the leaving of George's family. George just made it a point to be like, I'm so happy to be leaving this place. I hate it.
Excuse me, that they just found a new home.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like home, but
you kind of didn't. Well, at the time, I mean, I ain't gonna say George didn't realize, but it was like, I love this so much that this caused me so much pain.
Yes, I can be so free and express myself as I am here, as opposed to when I have to go back behind closed doors. It feels that I have to go back behind closed doors in these spaces.
Yeah, I guess that's how I felt about Liz. Like, I wouldn't say hated it because I moved around so much. Liz became a home. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't home away from her. It was home.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Wow. It wasn't home away from home because I had no home. Like, it was so many different addresses, so many different places. It was like, this is all I know as home. Like, I already know 1704 Weeksville Road is not changing. It's not changing. So
it ain't changing over here.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. I guess we could just jump into the meat and potatoes. Can you recall I would say any significant person's death that really shook you?
Yeah, and we've talked about these things before.
Yeah.
But the main one would be my well, the first one I would say is my great grandfather. Mm-hmm. And I was maybe like 7 when he passed. It's like that was the first time I experienced like, oh, this is someone that I love that I will never see again. Mm-hmm. But I was still a child, so I didn't really grasp it. The first time it really hit me hard was when my grandfather passed. Mm-hmm. I was 17. Mm-hmm. He passed of cancer, and it was the week of my birthday. He passed away on a Sunday night, and we were just with my grandparents that weekend. We were coming back because he'd been sick. So we got home. As soon as we got home, maybe like 30 minutes, it was like, go ahead, put them clothes in your luggage, because we're going back, because now we got to go back. And I was like, my birthday was on a Thursday. The funeral was on Friday. But before he even passed, I remember going into his bedroom, because at that point he couldn't really interact with people that much. He had the whole get up, the whole bed, and all the machines and stuff. And I wasn't there by myself, and I just broke. And that was me understanding that him in that state, he was already gone. Because the whole time, the rest of the week, I was fine. Even at the funeral, I was fine. That time, and when I cried, I'd be crying hard. My nose started bleeding and everything.
Oh, wow.
I was like, go get a tissue. Because when I started crying, everybody came in the room and they started crying. And I was boo-hooing, but it taught me a lot about how to handle grief with the things that we maybe didn't expect to end so soon, the answers that we didn't get, the conversations we didn't have, the wisdom that we didn't get to know, but also trusting in the spirit of that person still being there with us and caring. Because I get reminded about my grandparent or my granddad. My other grandparents fine, but my granddad all the time, or just other people that passed, is what I was trying to say. Where I'll smell something, or I'll see something, or I'll feel something. I'm like, ah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But what about you? I mean, we know who it is, but anybody else?
Yeah, I like wrote people down. It's so crazy. As you were talking, I think the most dramatic that, well, not the most dramatic, but like it was, if you were to write a movie, this could be
The
like
most impactful one.
I mean, of course, my Aunt Crystal, but
Okay.
before my Aunt Crystal, another person that passed away was my godmom, and I don't know. I think
from the church.
Yeah. So I think for my godmom, it was just the fact of like now at this point, my godfather did pass away before her because I told you he was 40 years older than her. My godfather was like in his 90s. Okay. Yes. But no, his passing, he knew technically he had the title of my godfather, but it wasn't really it's like this little baby. It wasn't it wasn't
you were a baby.
Yeah, it wasn't no impact. So for me to be around my godmom, it was like my godmom had her son, but it was like I was her other son that it was like I really got to spend time with her and stuff like that. I think what was interesting, or I think I was like hurt because this was after I came back from the trip from South Africa doing research, and I called
because I used to grown. Okay.
Yeah, I used to talk to her like a lot, like just randomly. I was an undergrad, and I was calling to tell her about the trip, and I think that's when my godbrother answered the phone, and he told me, and I think this was around. I don't want to make it too much more dramatic because I'm trying to think of the months. No, it wasn't that time. Oh, and I think for me, it was just like setting in that like y'all didn't even care enough about me to tell me.
I was gonna ask. I'm like,
no, I didn't
already like?
Oh, well, she had cancer. Oh yeah. I think she was like, yeah, they had the ceremony and everything. I'm like, y'all didn't even. Did y'all tell my mama? Like, I don't think my mama knew. I told my mama. Like, yeah. So it was just like. Wow. But I don't even know they understood that me and her maintained a relationship. After my godfather passed away, I talked to her all the time. I went to come visit her. I came to visit her. By this time, she had moved from Wilmington to Charlotte. She had a house in Charlotte. I think they either sold the church or the other oldest son was a preacher in the church, stuff like that. But yeah, that was impactful. And of course, like my Aunt Crystal, that was like holding my heart.
Yeah.
So I definitely, and even to that point, yeah, my Aunt Crystal was there all the time. And so I think I can definitely, because I'll also say this growing up, whenever it came down to like funerals and deaths, my mother does not believe in children going to funerals. So it was my father's father. I remember there's a picture of me being very young in a little black suit. Barely remember that. That was one that I attended. My father's mother, I was sad about that. I miss Miss Crystal, my mom's first wife, girlfriend. I miss that funeral. And but it wasn't like on purpose. I was at school, I couldn't make it. It was just like, but yeah, like my mom, she just anytime something came up, it wasn't until like adulthood. So for me, I think a lot of times that's why like I get so anxious around funerals. And I'm like, I know as an adult, like I know this is a finite thing and depends on like the relationship. I think I did like recently my cousin passed away. I got emotional about that. I think I more so got emotional about like somewhat, yeah, some life and somewhat what George was talking about is like conversation that you don't have and things that is left unsaid. Like
the physical.
Yeah, in the physical. And so, and I'm just thinking about like the loss of what this is. And I mean, you know, I learned some stuff about my cousin. It's so funny, like you have cousins. This was an older cousin, yeah, that. But it's like this is an older cousin. I always knew my cousin by their nickname, which it was their middle name, but I never knew their first name.
That's a thing in Black households. It might be that for other ones, but I know for me and my experience, Black people be just calling people nicknames, and all the kids know the nicknames, and it's like, oh, your name was Frankie the whole time.
All they
we was calling you Yo-Yo. Why they call you? Well, he used to play with Yo-Yo when he was young. All the time.
Life, like,
oh, I just thought that was his name.
And it's like you don't recognize or not respect, but it's just like, who is that? So
especially somebody outside, like, where Frankie at? Who is this Frankie person?
So yeah, it was just mainly my Aunt Crystal, and leading up to her passing, I did spend a lot more time with her, and I felt like I kind of had that same feeling, like, don't know why I didn't call, like, I wish it was like one more visit. I wish it was one more something. But I knew getting to the end, at least, I wasn't all the way prepared, but like it got to like I recognized the health deterioration at a certain point. My aunt asked me for anything, I'm bringing it. I don't care what it is, baby. Because she wasn't, in my opinion, I was driving already. I'm like, girl, you're not that far. So when we talked and I was coming to see my grandma, I'm like, I'm going to make a point to stop and see. I'll see my grandma or see my sister. Make a point to stop to see my aunt. I'll spend time with her. Sometimes, some days, I'm like, girl, get in the car. Like, we're going up here to come see my aunt. Come see my grandma. I brought her up here to see my sister one time and her children. But yeah, and it was things that was bad for her health. But I'm like, you want to escape, you're gonna get it, and we're gonna keep it a secret from your children.
Not you doing soul food.
Yeah, honey, but I'm just like, my aunt wanted, and like, if it was me, if the tables was reversed, my aunt gonna give me what I want, okay? So, yeah, that was just the only thing. It was hard.
Yeah,
it was hard.
It always is, and as people say, grief is not just a one-time thing. You just experience grief, and what I believe George said in the book was, you know, it just gets easier to deal with. Yeah, it's still gonna
every day.
It's like, okay, I've made it this far, and I can continue to make it. I still miss this person.
Yeah,
but
especially like you said, we're talking about like this spiritual form, like, because they're not here in the physical, but it's like you think about everything they gave you, emotional, and like the things that stick with you, the things that you may think or do that they influence and how they did things. So it's just like I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm definitely at that point. I still can't listen to that song all the way, and I get emotional, get choked up, because it's church, and like, child, me and her was church. Me and you must never part. Like, that was it. Like, church, it again is like you didn't see church without seeing my Aunt Crystal. So it was just like, and then music, like I said, like my Aunt Crystal. I think I talked about it on the podcast. Y'all should check it out. Our podcast, Sweet Heat. I find it every stream. Yes, so many shameless plays. But because we talked about church, that was the latest episode. When y'all check it out, not if. I have faith. You're gonna like, comment, and subscribe to this video, but also you're gonna go share the podcast. But we talked about, it was just church all the time. But like, she would, in her house, she was that person. It's funny because I think about the movie Kingdom Come. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. You watched it. We're gonna watch it. But there's a scene in this movie where
it be on.
We gotta watch. It's so good. It's so good. But there's a scene where like the mother has gospel music on, the gospel radio station on. That was my aunt down. That was my aunt down. And I mean, waking up, going to sleep, it was Christian music on. Okay, she'll wake up. I gotta read my Bible. I gotta pray. Praise the Lord. I'm like, it ain't no sinning in this house. Huh? It ain't no sweat. Yeah, and none of that.
This house is sanctified.
Child. Okay, and I told you they were the ones that was wearing the dress down to the ankles. Jean dresses.
Yeah, that was my family. Okay. They did that.
So
one of my birthdays, we got pictures from it. All you see, jeans.
I gotta find. I wanna find some photos of my eyes, but
covered up.
Okay, if you ain't got no skin showing, you ain't got no sin coming. Hey. Anyway, that was just my aunt. I think that was the one that really rocked my world. I think I was like shocked by other ones that may have happened. And I knew, like, I'm like, by the time my aunt passed away, it was like, oh, death is finite. But it was like, oh, it wasn't nothing like it. Yeah. And I think up until that point, oh my God. And speaking of people that could corroborate this story, my niece and nephew, I'm thinking I'm cool. I got the shades in the front row. Why was I sitting in the front row? Either front row or second to front row. I'm thinking I got my arm around them. I got my arm on the pew. I'm trying to be cool.
That's what homegoing services are for.
Woo! Mm-hmm. I think they may have sung that song. I think that was the song.
Got you right in them feelings, didn't it? Yeah.
You might as well laid me out and took me back there. Took me out.
I've been to funerals where people they be singing, and then as soon as they step, boom, the emotions come, and it's just and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm glad you can let that out.
I mean, it did feel good, but I was just like, oh.
Because I'm like, I don't think I've ever broken down but also I haven't had many people. I've broken down outside though. Like I said, with my granddad, I had already had my time. I was like, it's just you and me.
Can I be childish for a second? Just thinking about the future. Okay, the future of future.
Because people, we have to think about it and talk about it.
Think about the future. If I can be petty, and I'm gonna be like, no, you outlive me. I want them to play Nothing to Lose. Sing Nothing to Lose. Put the camera right on. They're like, this fool. At this point, there's nothing else to okay. But yeah, no, I have not. Oh my gosh, getting emotional.
That is the song.
Okay, just imagine you sitting right there and this.
Thank you, Siri. I mean, I don't know what song I would probably play at my funeral.
I don't know either. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good song because at that point, I'm going to believe that. Okay, I'm going to believe that I ran the race.
You did all.
I have run the race.
Given all.
And by this time, somebody on this earth know me outside of my family. We've done the things, and it is jam packed as this funeral was in this book. But yeah,
over 1,000 people.
Or
whatever you did. Like that.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I don't think I've ever been to the biggest funeral was my granddad's, where it was like hundreds of people, but not in the quadruple digits. Oh, that's a lot.
The little church was packed out, but I will say this: we can keep that.
Okay,
I'm a vibe.
Well,
I'm a vibe.
On all of this talk of passing on and that
little light of mine. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead.
Amen. But talking about when our physical form passes on, what are your thoughts on death, rebirth, evolution, on the spiritual sense, on the emotional sense, to where you yourself go through phases of dying to then, like a phoenix, be brought from the ashes? Because I know I've experienced so very
randomly enough, I just saw this video where Toni Morrison, I believe, was answering a question about, I don't know why it necessarily resurfaced, but it was really good. I'll share that with you as well. they she was answering a question about how do you continue to become whole, and it was along these lines. She was just like, it's never. I
I
think,
think
and
I've seen that.
I'm paraphrasing. She was like, it's never a thing about being whole. It's really the form that you continue
It's
in.
refinement.
Yeah, it's just the form that you continue in of like, I'm here. Like you
Take
had to
care.
go through whatever, but it's like if you are fortunate to make it out on the other side, I'm here. I made it, and there may not be a quote unquote wholeness. In a sense, it's just I'm
It's a
here.
lesson that have
Yeah, it was a
learned.
lesson,
It's
and
an experience that you live that you can share.
right, and I mean, but
Which
I
is the
think
whole part of it.
yeah, but I think like with the whole Renaissance and the rebirth, it's just like it's almost as if, let's just say this, and I'm thinking of this in music terms, right? Just imagine what you knew in high school versus the process you went through in college. Mm-hmm. And I know it may have been challenging, but you learn how to play better. So it's just almost like, and I want to think of it as like a process. It was like that was the rebirth of like I had to go through this, whatever the instructor,
it was a totally different experience.
Yeah, and then it's like
I could apply what I knew, but I also had to
because if you was playing that,
consider different methods.
And it's like if you were gonna continue playing like you were in high school, it was like you were gonna stick out like a sore thumb. Playing like that, or that too. Okay, it was just like you either got to grow up here.
This is how we do it here. It's like finding a new job that may be in the same field, different companies. Oh, you did it that way with them. That's cute.
But this is how we do it
this way because they didn't follow all the rules by the state.
At least not our protocols.
We follow it by the T.
Yeah.
So every 15 minutes, blah blah blah. Whatever.
So I mean, that's how I see it. I'm just like, you kind of just move with this different. I guess you could say, I don't want to say swag. I don't think that's the proper word, but just a new awareness.
Yeah, awareness.
And it's just like I am, because of that, I'm anew, and it's just like I'm gonna move differently. I'm gonna talk different. I'm gonna speak differently. A different confidence, like, and it is something that you think about, or at least I think about. It's like I'm thankful this happened, but I know I can move like this now. I know I can say this. I know I could do this now.
There's a lot in that lesson right there. Like I went through this experience. I may not have enjoyed it the whole time, but I learned a lot where I'm not going back into this. So I would agree with everything you said.
I'm sorry, my mouth dropped open because the mic was on and it was just typing out everything we were talking about. Oh. But yeah, anything?
That was it for me.
Okay. Let me see. I like the point that George made, that prayer was always that place for them in their family. It was just like, this, I'm calling my mom. And I think George illustrated that, like, Kenny was not just anybody. You know what I mean? Like, Kenny, I think George mentioned, like, Kenny was dancing with Nanny, and, like, they had pictures
at
together.
His 21st birthday.
And it's just like, yeah, so it's just like, this was more than just my line brother. This was, like, really a family. I don't even want to use the word friend. It's like, this is family, like, where they know. They know me and all this. So I thought that was like very beautiful. And that's just a point I wanted to, because how I feel about church, like prayer. It was so many good points. So I know I put down like a lot of love in the room almost replace the tragedy of the loss. And I thought that was a nice point to say, it's like to almost replace, because it's just like,
now they're going to do that.
Yeah, it's like that physical form of a person is like you start to feel the gravity of them not being there. And
the fact that you won't see them tomorrow and the day after that, or even right now, it's like I can't even call you.
Yeah.
You will not reply back.
Yeah. reminds me of how Stella got grew back. When her friend passed away, and she was like, "You were finally able to keep a secret."
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was just like,
I love that movie.
I like it too.
I'm like, there ain't a lot of romantic movies that make me in the feels, but I'm like, that one was just cute enough. I said, oh.
I think we already
The
mentioned
90s did it right.
Yeah, they did. They had got a lot of good ones. They had a good run.
And produced a lot of great people.
I think we already talked about like damages and how to move forward. Talking about stuff that you wish you could have said, and that also made me just think like there's some times and some people that you just want to say stuff, and not in a disrespectful way, just like let them know and talk to them and get stuff out. Um, oh, I found it interesting that I don't know what it was, but like George mentioned, I thought it was good and tactful the way that they said it, but they were talking about outing people in consent and stuff like that. So Kenny and George had a conversation beforehand, and a lot of the brothers were like, "Oh, we wish we would have told Kenny. We don't know." And it's like George already know, but in hindsight, I mean Kenny already know, but it's like in hindsight, George is like, "Oh, I low key did out them," and that's one of the quote unquote fears, if you will, because it's just like it's life and we don't know. And even though that was their brother responded as a brother should, like, I love y'all. Like, I don't care. Okay. Like, I'm asking. But it was nice that I think that was one of the first people that George was able to, that was straight, that George was able to, like, tell. So I guess that's the question. Do you ever remember, like, straight people or a straight person, or just a time that you just, like young gay? Yeah. Like, somebody actually either you told them.
That childhood friend I mentioned previously from elementary school, I told him because I still figuring out my identity. He's real big on the gym, so I was like, "Oh, we can work together." But I think I used that as an excuse of why I didn't want to go to the gym. I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to be awkward, but I am gay." He was like, "I don't care about that."
Not you was trying to get out of it. And it's like, okay, let's go to the press bench press.
What they got to do with you
lifting weights, lifting some iron? Let's go.
And I am going to go back.
We're gonna go back.
I mean, I love my body, but just taking care of my body.
Yeah,
that was probably the only.
I don't. Oh, my friend that I said that Juan I already mentioned. He was. It was him and another friend, Justin, the Jays. And I had all these people on the phone. It was like a group of us, but those were like two guys, and then I think I was really nervous about them more than the girls.
Of course.
But I'm just like, they're not going to be my friend anymore. And it was like, we know, like, we don't care, but we were all science majors at that. So it was like, we trying to survive. This was over like a Christmas break, and I was like, I have something to tell you guys. I just want y'all to know that I'm gay. And they're like, okay, so what you get for Christmas? Like, what y'all cook?
So what else is going on?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, so y'all know this whole time.
Again, the people we know. They always know.
I think the other part that I like that I wanted to point out was, George, like, reminisced on the aspect of like after the funeral going back to regular life, and George mentioned that the Black community does this often, not processing trauma. How do you feel about this statement?
Or it's always rooted in racism. Everything is rooted in racism in this country because we had tools to process grief and trauma. They got taken from us, and we were told, well, you can do this, that, and the third. And that's not very effective when you're dealing with complex emotions.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's always work to do, but I'm like, until we start actually, and people are like, why are we still focused on that stuff? It's like, well, we have to talk about it so we can address it and actually do something about the current issues that are caused by said reason.
Like we never processed it. No, I agree. I thought that was like very interesting because I also, again, I'm always on social media. There was like this article that just came out about another group of oppressed people that was not African American.
You can say who they are.
The Jewish, and talking about the Holocaust in
yeah,
connection to the Holocaust. But like, no, it was like a scientific research. Like, oh, there's still trauma that is related to their offsets and descendants. And so I said, oh, let's do black people. Let's talk about slavery.
They don't want to. That is the point. Why are we always trying to be? But us, they know that. They know that. They don't need.
They know, but it's the fact of like. So my question is,
it's intentional.
Why are you gaslighting me then?
Because they want to keep you at the bottom.
I didn't need to know this research because if you're going to do this research, let's do it all.
No, that is the point. Why not? Racism.
Okay, so here we go. Another statement that I like. Time and death are much closer than we can imagine. So, I think I like that idea or that perspective. Because a lot of times, people say like, call when you get home or be safe and stuff like that. We may never know, and I know Final Destination is like sometimes always in the back of my mind.
I have not seen that one of them.
Let's add that to the list too.
Oh, I didn't want to.
But
I'm like, people be talking about how they traumatized.
Oh, I am.
Like, I don't want to be driving around and I'm thinking that log is going to come through my windshield. I already don't drive around behind trucks any that way because they like throw rocks. No.
But either way, it's just like any aspect of that. And I don't know. I think I get it. Like, so yeah, I'm thinking about any aspect. And it doesn't have to be traumatic. I had a cousin that was a little bit older than me, in her 30s. Passed away. Both of my cousins, the male and the female, both in their 30s. When we say like untimely death, it's stuff like that. And I know like I spoke to my sister about these things, and I know there's barriers to this, like as far as like the common things, but it's just like some people are just like, they feel as if they don't have time until it's too late. So it's like, and I think I was just having this conversation with somebody like I don't want to talk about that. That's too much detail. But I was just saying like in relation to like health, it's like some of the things that we could really do, especially when we talk about like stuff like diabetes, right? I said I remember meeting a white lady who was my teacher at the time. Her name was Miss Toto. Shout out to Miss Toto. She might be alive or not. I don't know. I just remember it from The Wizard of Oz. Either way, she was the first person that I met, and we talk about like health disparities and race in this country. She was the first person I met that was like, oh yeah, she was very open about her diabetes. So, and this was like, I remember she did teach our like health professions or health college program or whatever in high school. All the black kids were like, since you're open about it, what type of medication? She was like, I don't take medication. She was using
holistic.
Yeah, no, but it was like I exercise and I eat right.
That's what I'm saying. Holistic.
So, but for us, this is just as soon as we are quote unquote diagnosed, like, oh, you need to start this medication. But that's also how the system is. Right. It was like mainly how the system is like, you gotta do this. But I know. But it's like at the same time, that could it could change our lives or not change our lives. And it's like when we say like, or when George said like death is closer than we think, we don't know. Like there's no date. It's not like I was born and my expiration at the bottom of my foot. Like, hey, can you tell me when I'm gonna die? Every day, even tomorrow. It could be 35 years now. Like, nobody knows.
Because it's like even with people that have terminal illnesses, some of them they're like, we're giving you 60 days, and they maybe make it 20 of those 60. Some people it's like, we give you a year, and I'm 15 years in this thing. They told me I was gonna pass away, 15 years ago.
That was my godmom. Mm-hmm. So like when she had cancer, she taught us about it. She like went through chemotherapy. And then she was writing a book about it because I mean, she was a faith-based lady,
Mm-hmm.
and that was her testimony. It was like, oh, I supposed to been dead. Like every day is borrowed time for me, according to them.
According to
You
them.
know, and so that's the thing. It's just like, and sometimes some of these people that are quote unquote diagnosed with something, they're living healthier and living better and longer than the healthy people.
A lot of times.
So,
a lot of times, because it's just everyone's dynamic with their makeup and just how those things happen. Because I've also had family members and people that are close to our family. It's like, oh, this person they just dropped out of nowhere, no type of warning, and it's just wow.
Yeah.
We're just talking to you the other day and look where we are now.
Kingdom come.
Mm-hmm.
But the last, in conjunction with that, the thing that I guess this is the last point from this particular chapter in this book. What I like that George pointed out was when we talk about time and death are much closer than we can imagine. George said these words: "Time waits for no one, and for Black queer people, there are too many people trying to steal the time we have." That, I mean, what a way to end a book. Because, and I mean, I think George went to some more detail about like All Boys Aren't Blue and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah,
that is in our final
yeah.
episode.
But like that for me is just so true, because even outside of like, or I'll say at least like in America, because I just seen another report today, because I'm always on socials. I just seen another report today. It was like somebody in South Africa that their life was taken care of by the LGBTQ plus I community. But in America, our way of doing that, or like trying to snuff out, is like, we want to silence you. We want to keep you quiet. Stay back there in the back. Don't say nothing. Be quiet. So, and it's like that also kills people, because
yes.
we just had that conversation about how, and I think overarching theme is like community, and we were talking about how George's brotherhood brought life to them. So it's just like saying that line a lot of times literally is like, if I keep you quiet and keep you in the back, keep you by yourself, then you're gonna drive yourself crazy. You're gonna sit here and work and try to run on the rat race of life.
Because
you're gonna be away from people.
No community that you can actually speak with to corroborate your experiences.
Yeah.
And that's usually the kill in the first place. Some people are just a lot more violent because of racism.
I mean, and that's the other thing I was gonna say. Definitely talking about, there are some very violent situations in this country, especially the trans community. Mm-hmm. We have discussed time and time again, disproportionately attacked and have to deal with a lot of risk with just being themselves.
Oppression, repression, suppression, and danger.
And there is discords to this day. I don't know if you saw it, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, I definitely found that line to just be so true. And I hope, and as we talked about before, that more of us find community. I hope you all find community through this channel, that we can continue the conversation, not just about this, about so many other things on the podcast that we have been talking about. Sweet Heat. Find it on everywhere you are looking. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I don't have anything else. You have anything else?
I'm good.
My name's Akeem.
And I'm Jeremy.
Thank you all for watching.